part of the growth as a luthier will be coming to a better understanding of how much the wood contributes to the tone. I don't know right now, I'm still learning that. My name is Roger Ennis, and I build musical instruments.
Half of the instruments I make, I can't even play. That wasn't the point. The point was to make it, okay? And make it as well as I can. My name is Tony Lubolt, and I build instruments.
I got into mandolin making because I wanted to learn how to play mandolin. I liked the notion of the tonal range. You can go from bass to ridiculous treble in a very short span, a very short space of fretboard. And then I started building my own.
I bought a fiddle a long time ago, and once I started learning to play it, I wanted to know what made it tick, and I didn't want to tear it apart. And took a couple hunks of wood and started carving them out, and that's what really suckered me in. So basically, once I started to do the fiddles, I started looking around, and there's all these other instruments that we could make. Whenever I string up an instrument for the first time, it's pure dread. It's like all this work, all this love and care, and what if it just doesn't work?
And you could spend 100 hours putting this thing together, and one tiny little mistake that you didn't even realize you made could ruin it, so that it's just something to hang on the wall, not something to play. What they are when they come out of the box, when they come out of the builder's box, is not at all what they're going to become. Everything is detail. Everything is detail. Maybe that's what makes it fun. There's a lot of rough work, like just hogging off big chunks of wood when you're forming the top of a carved top mandolin. And that goes very quickly, but when you get down then to measuring it to the nearest hundredth of an inch of being exactly perfectly graduated side to side and end to end, that's what makes it fun, I guess.
Some of the latest ones that I've done were actually made out of firewood.
And this is kind of the direction that Tony and I are interested in going in. I make a joke, I call it the backyard mandolin project or the backyard guitar project. We're interested in building musical instruments that are of supreme quality, using woods as local as we can get them.
It isn't any old wood. It's basically curly maple is what strikes my eye. I got a load of wood last year, and I was stacking it up, and I saw all this curly grain in it, and it was just like so intense.
Tony noticed that there was some really great ripple grain in it. So we take a chunk of stove wood and square it off and figure out how wide a piece we can get out of it, and dimension it so that we can get a neck out of it and two pieces for the back. So we select the wood based on desirable characteristics. It could be, in this case, curly maple, which is just elegant stuff. But we are now working on a project to see if we can use locally harvested spruce wood for a top. So we look for grain structure, we look for pleasing wood characteristics. When we actually glue them together, we start looking or trying to imagine finished product and putting the pieces together in a way that the grain is the most pleasing to the eye.
Roger has played a very inspirational role. His enthusiasm alone is killer. It just fires me up. He's good at finishing, he's good at thicknessing. He's actually coming around to using hand tools, which is really inspirational. I use hand tools almost exclusively, and Roger is a power tool guy. But he's starting to get into this hand tool thing, and his connection to the wood that I feel when I'm doing it. When you're using power tools, you're not really connecting with the wood. So when you're using a hand tool, the wood dictates that you do it this way or that way, and it's so much nicer. It makes you feel like you're actually being part of the whole thing. And Roger's starting to do that. The guy is really good.
He became my best friend. We share dogs, we share hunting stories and adventures together. But he's over here 3 or more days a week working on something. So he has been initially the challenge, the thorn that goaded me into doing it, and then the endless support, the wise man who really knows how to do things, and more to the point, knows how to solve problems when things don't go quite the way you had in mind. That's another part that seems to me part of instrument making, is figuring out what to do when things didn't work out quite the way you had in mind. He's been building instruments for more than 30 years. And he's built a lot of different stuff. He's built a couple of harps. He's built a hammer dulcimer for himself. He's working on a citern right now. Neither one of us knows how to play a citern. But knowing how to play something doesn't stop him from building it. He's a good person to restore common sense to me when I get down in the dumps about what a lousy job I'm doing.
I hope to build as many instruments as I can with Roger. He's good company and he's good to be with, and he's definitely an inspiration.
I feel like I'm just starting out, just taking the first baby steps on the road to learning how to put together an instrument. And every time I make one, I get a little bit closer to not needing the extensive hand-holding support that I get from Tony. So I'm looking forward to growing, more independent as I go. The mystery, I think it's probably just the mystery of what it is. What is it going to be when it's done? Won't know until you do it. I don't see a time of stopping. What I'm going to do with all these, I don't know.
I don't think I'll ever drift away from instrument building. This is one of the things that I really like to do. It's one of the things that I've learned that I can do. There's a lot of things that I don't know yet. And now that I have the basic set of skills and the basic experience, every time I do one, I can apply more and more and more stuff to it. I think that it keeps suckering me in. There's one more in there. And every time I look at wood nowadays, I see instruments.
The time we spend working in the shop here is kind of where it's at. The joint process of producing an instrument is where it's at. I can't imagine not doing that. As long as I have sufficient physical skills to do the work, I can't imagine not doing something with him every year. I'm hoping before I die I will make a perfect instrument. I have not yet. All too aware of the flaws that exist. And I'm hoping each one I make to get a little bit closer to something that satisfies me artistically and as a craftsman.